Hi, you asked me some questions about books I'm reading, and I'm going to answer them. Lizzie Hudson asked, if you get a few chapters into a book you want to read but don't like it, do make yourself keep going. Nope, I'm usually reading a couple of books at the same time, so it will probably get forgotten and end up in a corner somewhere. Life is too short to be reading shitty books. Iris, or Died Dreams 1, asks, do you listen to music while reading? If so, what are your favorite songs to read to? When I'm reading, I need a bit of noise in the background. I actually prefer reading on public transport, so I have people and sounds around me. But when I'm at home, I like to listen to Laura Marling, Bon Iver, Dan Mangan's Oh Fortune album, and Andrew Bird. Jared Warren, or Akio Jared, asks, what is your favorite book series besides Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, etc.? There are two book series that I'm really attached to because I started reading them when I was quite young and was still reading everything in Dutch, and those are Darren Shan and Artemis Fowl. They're probably both kind of written for 12-year-old boys, and they both have really excellent characters in them. If you're looking for something to read and you just want something fast, for example, if you want to finish your 50 books challenge, I'd suggest probably Darren Shan because there are 12 books in this series and you can go through this in 2 or 3 weeks. Because this is actually a collection of 3 books. I didn't cry when Dumbledore died, but I cried so much when one of the characters in this book died. The adventure escalates pretty quickly, but the final book is so good and I have so much love for this. I'm not sure how many Artemis Fowl books are out right now. I think one was released pretty recently. I haven't read the latest one yet, but hopefully I'll get around to that at some point. The next question is by Emily Spielman, or Silent Phoneme. The question is, what books have you read that deserve more attention than they have? For classics, The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. I know I keep ranting about this. So good. If you like apocalyptic fiction, go read it now. For contemporary fiction, The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson, which not only looks really cool, but it's actually quite interesting. I picked this up purely based on the cover, and then had a really good time reading this. It might be popular, I don't know, but I don't think I've ever talked to anyone who's read it. And for young adult, The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I wasn't that into the sequel and I haven't read the final part yet. Is it a final part? I don't know if it's like a trilogy or 4 books. Anyways, The Maze Runner really impressed me and I really enjoyed this. I've heard some people talk about it in the past, but it seems to have kind of fizzled out, so if you weren't aware of this yet, this is on my list of recommendations too. The next question is by Iona English, or Where is Wallace? And she asks, has studying translating helped you appreciate the subtle difference in word choices in the novels you read and review? Yes, yes. Oh my god, yes. I feel like it just opened up a whole new world. Even after about 2 or 3 weeks of taking my first translation course, I was just looking at texts very differently. Definitely one of the best choices I've ever made. Michelle, or Access to the Soul, asks, what book or series do you think has the best film adaptation? This is gonna be a bit Keira Knightley themed, but I really like the movie adaptations of Never Let Me Go and Pride and Prejudice. I don't know how many times I've seen Pride and Prejudice, but I try and watch it every other month. The movie adaptation of Never Let Me Go really captured the mood of the book. This version of Pride and Prejudice is just the best thing. I've tried to watch the older version and I got about halfway through, I haven't quite finished it. Unpopular opinion, I like this one a lot more. Next question kind of has the same theme. It is by Ines, or Nessie on the Run, and she asks, hi Sana, is there any film adaptation you like better than the book it was based on? Number 1, The Lord of the Rings. I'm just not a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings books, but I really, really love the movies and I've seen them several times. Then secondly, Bridget Jones's Diary. I read Bridget Jones's Diary about a year ago and I quite liked it, but nothing will ever beat this movie. The final one is Into the Wild, which technically I'm not supposed to have an opinion about yet because I haven't actually read the book, but I don't think it's possible for me to like any book version more than this movie. If any of you have read the book though, let me know what you think of it. Then Ina, or Ichiro, asks, did you bring all your books to London, and if not, what made you choose the books you did take? I brought all of them, every single book. I actually brought everything I own. So. Apollonia, or A. Deister, I'm gonna go for the Dutch approach there, asks, when did you start reading English books? I think I started when I was about 14 or 15. I'd had a couple of years of English lessons at that point. I was by no means good, but Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix had just been released. There was no Dutch translation yet, and I just decided that if the only thing that was stopping me from reading the book was that it was in English, I should just suck it up and try and read it. I remember locking myself in my room, sitting at my desk, and just reading for hours and hours on end, and I'm pretty sure I didn't understand half of what happened. For example, I had no clue what an arch was, and I don't really believe in looking up words in a dictionary while you're reading it, because I think just by reading you'll learn the words anyway. But spoiler alert, I did not understand how Sirius died. I was so confused. And then finally, Bookity Book Book asks, do you care whether you have matching collections of books, like in a series? Yes, yes I do, and I really hate it when they change the look of a book halfway through a series. I'm looking at you across the universe. I've actually requested an advanced reader's copy for Shades of Earth, which is the third book in the Across the Universe series, so I really hope I get that. If you have more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you want to answer some of these questions, go ahead, you can do that in the comments too, and I will talk to you guys later. Doei!